This paper is testing 12 factors. It's the only one that's even kind of about class, and it's not even class directly. It's just parents' education, as though that encompasses like all the ways class will influence a person's inclination to cheat. So any reader looking for these factors, looking for class as a factor in the student's inclination to cheat, you would have to infer them from the explicit factors that he's testing for. So a couple of them, GPA and age, grade point average and age, for example, are factors that he finds in the study, the 97 study. He finds that they are very weakly inversely correlated with whether a student cheated. So students with a better college GPA and older students are found to have been slightly less likely to cheat. So I don't think you need to do a huge study to come to the belief that students who are older and have higher GPAs are students who generally have been in college for longer, meaning they have the resources and the time to dedicate big sweeping portions of their lives to going to school and basically do unpaid work. And if you want to take your reasonable assumptions further, you can think that those students are probably wealthier. They're probably white for the most part. They're probably from wealthier cities that had wealthier schools, and thus were probably inculcated in a certain kind of moral thinking concerning cheating and dishonesty, which, McCabe put it as being in an environment at home where academic achievement is more value. But it goes way deeper than that when you're talking about school ethics and socioeconomic background. Those are all just assumptions. I mean, I'm just asking questions here. I'm just having an opinion. I don't know the answers to any of those questions, and I haven't read anything during this time frame that actually tries to provide an answer to those questions or any kind of insight into those ideas. But one would think that these are all important factors when it comes to whether a student is more likely to decide to cheat and then be okay with it. Right, and those are all important factors because those are all factors that influence a person's moral character more than anything else, since those are the terms that McCabe most wants to talk in. But, as before, nothing at all about any of that in any of McCabe's work. You can make the same inferences elsewhere. So, for example, you remember he said fraternity and sorority membership were the biggest factors outside of peer-related contextual factors for predicting whether a student might cheat. So throughout the 97 paper, he conflates membership in a fraternity or sorority with participation in intercollegiate sports. So especially if the student is getting financial aid from that participation. And he conflates the two, and he's constantly referring to both of them as extracurricular activities. That's how he categorizes them in the paper. So both, if you were to take, again, sports in college and fraternity sorority membership, both of those things are their own can of worms in terms of their predilection for inviting unethical and dishonest activities, and their class dynamics and their institutional relationship with the university. And those are all huge topics that we're not going to explore here. But again, I will just say, if you know anything about universities at all, now and then, you might already have an idea about the class background of people joining fraternities and the class background of people getting financial aid because they play a sport, right? You can come to your own personal conclusions about that. And on top of that, it doesn't ever occur to McCabe to ever explore students' activities in, the fucking students' union, any kind of fucking club, a job, or a volunteer position they might have at the school, let alone, working at the school, let alone, whether they have a fucking real job outside of the school, if they have to take care of another human being in some way, a fucking spouse or a child or a fucking parent who needs care. Let alone if that student is chronically ill or disabled and they're required to dedicate large amounts of time and energy to their own health care, right? Not even anything simple like how long their commute is or how far away they have to shop for fucking groceries or some shit, right? And it doesn't ever occur to him to to have those as factors. So when he says something in the discussion section like, quote, involvement in multiple extracurricular activities in general creates demand on students' time that may lead to more involvement in cheating, end quote. At that point, when I read that at that point, I was just like, bruh, I can think about a million other way more important fucking extracurricular activities that also create demands on students' time that you never even hinted at in your entire paper. Right? It's all just fraternities and